Availability. This video is targeted towards schedulers or administrators who happen to be doing some scheduling. As a reminder, availability is generally used by any staff that may be putting in, obviously, availability for shifts that are coming up in the future. So if you have volunteer staff or part-time or per diem staff and you want to collect their availability ahead of time, you as a scheduler can use that data to put them onto shifts that may be open on your schedule. We do have a separate video dedicated to how to submit availability for your members, but just as a quick reminder for you, your members can go to Schedule, Submit Availability, and that'll bring up this screen here. It's going to default to the month that you're, actually it defaults to the following month, I believe. So what'll happen is if the member wants to toggle back and forth to a different month, they can use either the next arrow there or the back arrow if they want to go backward a different month. Otherwise, your members just fill out when they're available. They can either choose from a set of times on your schedule template, or depending on the configuration in your account, they may be able to also choose a custom range here, and then they can go ahead and hit submit up at the top. So the first piece of the puzzle is, of course, for your members to submit their availability. Without that, you're not going to really get too far with putting them onto shifts. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the availability submission report. So I'm going to go down to Schedule Availability Submission. This is just a very simple report that shows you the date and timestamp of who did and did not submit availability. So this organization here, maybe I just know that it's my part-time staff that are submitting availability. I can refresh that and get a nice view of who did and did not submit their availability. So maybe you want to track some of these folks down. You can do that and remind them that their availability is due. Jumping back into the submit availability screen, one other thing I want to mention is there is a configuration option within our software to set a deadline, if you will, for availability. Now, that deadline would need to be the same date or day every month. So it's the 15th of every month or the 20th of every month. We will put that into eSchedule as a setting, and what will happen is it'll allow your members to submit availability up until and through 2359 hours Eastern time on that day of the month. So let's say it's the 20th of the month. Your member will have until 23:59 that night, and then what will happen is this screen here will essentially be locked. So your members cannot adjust their availability. They won't be able to submit availability. So that is a sort of an on or off configuration option within eSchedule. So if that's not on and you'd like that, let us know. We can configure that for you. So two different ways to look at availability once it's been submitted. Excuse me, the first would be the availability report. Generally what a lot of companies or schedulers like to do is maybe you have two different tabs open on your browser. So you've got this information on one tab or perhaps on one computer monitor, and then over on your other tab or your other monitor you've got the schedule, and you can use this information. So maybe you're just going to schedule for the week of May 3rd through May 9th. You're welcome to do that. Refresh this data here, and then you can use the availability to put people onto shifts from this view here. So that's one way to do it. The other is to view the availability on the actual schedule itself. So if you go into Schedule and then Weekly Spreadsheet, it's going to default you to whatever view that you have set up with your different settings. But the key is this little icon right here that says Show Availability. Now if I hit that, the screen's going to refresh and it's going to show me people or members that entered availability for these days. So in this green color here where it says availability, obviously that lines up to who's available. So your ALS availability in this example, BLS availability. A couple other things to note. If the member does not have a little dot next to their name, so this person here, this means that they are not currently scheduled for any shift on this calendar day. So this K. McCory is not currently scheduled on any shifts for this day. If they do have a dot, that means they are currently scheduled at some point during that day. So R. Kirchhoff submitted availability, and if we look down here, you'll notice that he is currently scheduled on a shift. So dot means they're currently scheduled for that day at some point. No dot means they're not scheduled. If you see this sort of maroon color here, this just indicates that the person had submitted availability at some point and has approved paid time off. So generally that shouldn't happen too often. But if there's a case where maybe someone canceled their PTO or for some reason something happened, they will show up in this this maroon color here. So that is the second way that you can look at availability and assign people to open shifts that you might have. For example, this one here, based on who's available to work. That is it for availability. If you have any questions on how to use this information or on the module or feature itself, please reach out to us. Thanks again for watching.